Welcome to the Area Game of the Week preview show. I'm Eli Blankinship, joined alongside me, Kyler Rowden-Stum. And boy, we had a fantastic game last week. We went to La Crosse, Kansas, where they took on the Logan-Palco Trojans. Here is our Area Game of the Week recap, brought to you by Parker Nisbeth, myself, and Kyler Rowden-Stum. Thank you both for helping with that recap. Here is that. Here's some of our favorite calls and great video footage from Parker Nisbeth. Live from Rush County, Kansas, it's the La Crosse Leopards taking on the Logan-Palco Trojans. I'm Eli Blankinship, joined alongside me, Kyler Rowden-Stum. It's the TMN Week 2 Area Game of the Week, and boy, we are excited.
It's going to be a good one here today. Both teams coming in here 1-0, getting off a good win last week on both sides. Let's see what they both bring. I think we're going to have a little bit of, just like last week, a little bit different kind of play styles, run, pass. I'm excited to see what really La Crosse brings to this field at their home game.
A running back on both sides of the quarterback. He's in the shotgun formation. Stepping back in the pocket and hit hard. The ball's out. And he recovers the football. Absolutely blown up on that play. My goodness. Snap. Hands the ball off to Holloperic. He'll go back the other way. The ball's popped out. It's a fumble. And I don't know if he was trying to make a lateral pass. He thought his quarterback was there or something, and no one was there to receive that pass. Empty backfield for the Leopards. Rush back to throw it. It's an interception. Intercepted by number 1, that's Gottschalk. He's still on his feet, runs to the outside, and picks up quite a bit of yardage on that play. And wow, a just quick interception there completely changes the momentum of the ball game. Trojans close to the goal line. It's a handoff, pumping his legs all the way into the end zone. Number 21, Carson Knipp, getting it done. Gottschalk lines up under center. He's got 2 running backs behind him. He'll hand it off to Ashmore. Ashmore on his feet to the 30, to the 40, still in bounds to the 30-yard line, and he's brought down finally just past the 20 in Leopards territory. A big gain for the Trojans.
The two knows the D tackles. You got to shut off that. You got to shut off that. Okay. All right. Hey, what up, Coach? The D tackles. I want you going right to outside shoulder of the guards. Get their ass pushed back. All right. All right. Here we go.
Hey, let's go make a play. Let's go make a play.
Let's go. Nothing behind you, boys.
Nothing behind you, boys.
I want to double them.
One receiver to both sides. Rush dropping back in the pocket, fires it into the end zone, and it's another pass interference call. My goodness. And what turned into what was one last play left to go has now turned into 3 plays for the Leopards. Rush takes the snap. Looking to throw into the end zone. It's intercepted by Gottschalk. Rush with an empty backfield. 2 receivers to the right, 1 to the left. He sends 1 in motion. This time it's a handoff to the outside, breaking free and past the first down, the first pylon. He's brought down just past midfield. And boy, what an explosive run for the Leopards. It looks like he may have gone out of bounds on the play, which will benefit Logan-Palco.
And it definitely is. He's trying to stay in bounds, just trying to get off the field. They did well shoving him out. So now they got to get this first down, and if they do, it's going to put the ball in game on.
No signs of punting for the Leopards. Rush with an empty backfield. It's all going to come down to this. 2 receivers to both sides. Sends a man in motion. This time he hands it off. Breaking to the outside, it's a first down. That's going to do it for the ball game. Connor Spryer picking up the big gain and putting the nail in the coffin.
And that was just huge play. You take the risk, you get the reward there on that fourth down. You saw them struggle with it.
In a game that came down to the wire, the Leopards take care of business at home against the Logan-Palco Trojans. They come out 20-18 in what was a very entertaining game from start to finish. boy, I'm at a loss for words because this was a very quality game and a big fight from the get-go. A big thank you once again to both Kyler Rowden-Stum and Parker Nisbeth for helping me with that wonderful recap we put out. And that was quite the game between those two teams. The Logan-Palco Trojans and the La Crosse Leopards really put on a show for us under the Friday Night Lights last Friday. Final score 18-20. Or I guess 20-18 in favor of La Crosse, and it was a thriller. Both teams really had their run game on display, and it was packed with lots of turnovers really in that first half and lots of momentum shifts. And La Crosse really kind of had a bit of a comeback, so to speak.
And you're definitely right. It was definitely one of those games where, like, your second week, you're getting into it, and a lot of stuff didn't go right for you first quarter. There was a bunch of turnovers, back fumbles, interceptions. The pass game wasn't there for any other team. It was mostly on the ground. You know, the wind was not helping it, but teams both kind of showed up, owned the first quarter in that second half, and then in the first half, and then the second is really when everyone started showing up. Got really down and, you know, worked on their fundamentals a lot more, and that's what really came out. And like you said, La Crosse making that comeback there, holding on to it as well towards the end there because they had a chance where they about lost it, but they made great defensive stops where they needed it, and that's what really helped them with that win.
Up next, our live on-field post-game interview with La Crosse head coach John Webster.
Coach, great way to end the game, going up 2-0 to end the season. But the start of the game kind of looked a little bit rough. You know, a lot of turnover, a little bit of flags. Kind of tell me what was going through you guys' head going into kind of that second quarter.
Yeah, you know, we that first drive, the first quarter, we came out really excited to play. We had a great big hit on our quarterback, almost got the ball, and then we had a pass interference go against us, and it really took the sails out of us. And then it would seem like penalty, mental mistake, penalty, and we gave them a lot of life. We let them drive, and they took advantage of the opportunities they had. In that second quarter, the kids really rallied. They collected their composure, buckled down, and made some plays, and that gave us a chance to get back in the game.
And then so you went into the second quarter down 12-0, and then how was the motivation? How did you keep their spirits up not to get down and to fight back, and then even to score out 14-12?
You know, in the 2 weeks we've had so far, this team showed a lot of grit. They showed a lot of character, and when it gets tough, they really come together and they play great team football. And they just showed that sign, and it's a characteristic of this team that I hope we continue to build. I just hope we show it a little earlier so we don't put ourselves in those positions.
And then so went in the half 14-12, you know, had a chance to go up a little higher. What was the kind of attitude going into the half with, you know, not getting the up but still being up 14-12?
I think we were frustrated with ourselves because a lot of the situations we were in were self-inflicted. Again, with the penalties, mental execution. Logan-Palco has some good athletes, and they brought some blitzes that gave us fits. But a lot of it, we false starts, you know, drop a snap, something like that, interceptions, and those things we gotta correct. And I think our kids know we're better than what we showed in that first half, that first quarter especially, and they're just a little frustrated. But they continued to work hard, didn't give up, and were able to pull one out here at the end.
And then going into the second half, you know, they scored and then you guys went down again. How was the motivation going in? So there was a lot of time left in the fourth. What was kind of the talk?
You know, I put us in a bad situation with the fake punt at the start of the fourth. Gave them short field that they capitalized on. We responded well, marched down, got a score, and then it was just, you know, the guys really bucked up and played really good football. The second half went so fast. You know, I looked up, third quarter was over, and then it seemed like the fourth quarter was over in 5 minutes. And I think it was because both teams were running the ball and just playing good old-fashioned hard-nosed football. And you know, we got fortunate to pull the win out.
And so, speaking of the win, kind of to end the game there with that fourth down play, kind of run us through what was going through your guys' head going into that.
So when we had the 1st and 20, Connor Spryer had the good run to get us, or I guess it was 2nd 20. Connor had a good run on a similar play to what we did on 4th down to get us into 3rd and 8, and then we had a bad play, and I felt like we could get that edge again, and Coach Armacio dialed up a good play. The kids blocked the edge well, and Connor showed up again and gave us a big run on the edge to secure the first down and get us into the victory formation and end the way we wanted to.
And then so with the winning line going up 2-0, what's the lookout for this week of practice and then going into the next game, having an undefeated record, trying to hold on to that?
Yeah, we got to clean up our tackling. We did a really bad job at tackling. We missed a lot of tackles. It's 2 weeks in a row we've had a ton of missed tackles, and that's going to be a point of emphasis, and then taking care of the football and finding a way to execute better on the offensive side.
Is there anything else left to say about this team going into the rest of the season?
I hope this grit continues to go with it, because it's going to make us tougher as the season goes on in district games.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Well, it was an electric atmosphere, and the hospitality was amazing as always. So a big thank you to the lacrosse community for hosting us, and a big thank you for Logan-Palco for showing up and giving us a great game. We're going to move on to the high school sports section here in Kansas. Kansas Sports Central High School football rankings, Week 3 came out. I kind of looked over some of those and went over some of the ones we had last week. Manhattan still really atop of the rankings, just underneath St. Thomas Aquinas. They are second in the high school, Kansas high school rankings. They moved to 2-0 this week after a big win against Lawrence Free State. They won 47-7 against Lawrence Free State. That is a very impressive win, and they're going to take on number 6 Hayes this week, and that is going to be more than likely one of the games of the week in all of high school sports here in Kansas.
Oh, 100%. That game is going to be covered by everybody, so that's a game you want to watch. You want to take time to make time as your day for. Just because a big number 2, number 6 going at each other, that's the games that really, especially this early in the season, kind of determine how the rest of the season goes. Who's going to be that team you're looking to not go against? Who's that team? Okay, now we've seen their flaws and stuff. This is where everything gets on the line here, these big games like that.
Manhattan, a 6A school, Hayes, a 5A school, so they won't see each other in the playoffs or in the regionals, but it will certainly be a matchup to watch this week. Number 5, Wichita Northwest High School. We moved to 2-0 after taking care of business versus East High School in Wichita. They won 34-14, and they will play number 23 Junction City this week. They're always both squads always good football teams. Back to Hayes High School. They're ranked number 6 in the rankings. They beat Choctaw at home 21-19, and it's their second nail-biter win of the season. It was quite an impressive performance from them, and as I mentioned, they're playing number 2 Manhattan this week, and likely the game of the week in all of Kansas.
Oh, 100%. Especially after 2 big nail-biters, they're going to have to really, whatever fix they did in the first 2 games, making it so close, they got to fix whatever they do through this week going into this game, because that's where the flaws are going to biggest show and really going to stop their run.
Hutchinson is number 7 in the rankings. They're also 2-0. They shut out Andover Central in Week 1, 34-0, but barely snuck past Valley Center this week, 25-18. I thought that was kind of interesting that they really handled business Week 1, but Week 2 had a little bit of a nail-biter.
And so you might have a really good game the week before, but the next week's a whole nother team, whole nother play style. You're in a different place unless you play back-to-back home games. But it's really just, you have to go into each week as this is a new game. We got to play at our best no matter how well we did last week. Yes, it gives you motivation, but if you get too high on that motivation, it's going to lead to losses or being those close games like that.
So they will take on Mays this week. Mays is next on our list. They're ranked 19th. They shut out Andover this week, 27-0. They moved to 2-0 on the year. They will play number 7, Hutchinson, which is another big game really to watch. That will be a pretty good one, I think. A little bit of a rivalry there between those 2 teams, both being in the Ark Valley Chisholm Trail League. Another big game this week was Victoria versus Central Plains. We wanted to cover that game, but we were not able to as there was another media outlet covering it. It was an incredible game. Came down to the very last drive. Victoria came out on top, 22-20, and it came down to that final drive where Victoria had a game-winning score to close it out.
And those are the games you live for. As not only the team doing the drive, it's just like everything's right there on the line. And again, those are the games you want to watch. Of course, another team was already there. We knew it was going to be a good game. We found still just an amazing game as it was. But these games are what makes high school football so good. It's just always close. You have a couple of blowouts here and there. And, those are great and all, but these are the games everyone wants to watch.
Victoria is going to be a team to watch going into postseason play. They are ranked second in 8-man Division II football, just underneath the Axtell team that has just been incredible the last 4 or 5 seasons. Next up, we're going to reveal our area game of the week. It is Trigo versus Rawlins County. Both teams coming into this week with back-to-back wins. Trigo 2-0. They beat Hill City week 1 by a score of 30-20. It was their first time beating Hill City in 10 years. I mean, that is a pretty incredible achievement for them to be able to kind of get over that hump, and this really could be a sign that the times are changing for Trigo in the Waukene area.
I definitely agree with you there. They're just, it's one of those things, teams go dormant and lose for quite a while, but then they build programs, and then they finally get someone, okay, we're going to do it and put everything else on the table. And that's what I feel like Trigo is going to be another team to watch in this, just because they look like they have a strong start, so a lot of momentum, especially going into this next game.
So they beat Hill City week 1. They played Hoxie this last week. They won 54-6 against the defending state champs, so really took care of business. That's their first time beating Hoxie in 4 years. And last season they had a 4-5 record, so it wasn't a super incredible record, but at the same time they had some pretty close matchups against some good teams. As a team, they've ran for 386 yards this season. In the air, they've had 211 yards. So they have really a dual-threat offense, but they really prefer to run the football. But you're going to see that in pretty much all of 8-man football.
And you're definitely right there. A lot of the quarterback keeps, direct snaps to the running back, everything like that. And so, but with that, though, if you do have someone who could throw the ball and receivers that can catch it, that's what makes you a better team if you're able to be that dual threat. Because you can run, then have a quick pass here, you're gone for 40, 30 yards, catch them off guard. That's what makes it so hard to defend teams like this, is because you don't know what's coming. If you just run the whole time, you kind of know what's coming, you kind of know how to prep for it.
Players to watch for Trigo is going to be Ashton Wynn. He is number 18 for Trigo. He has 208 passing yards in the air and 4 passing touchdowns this season so far. And then additionally, number 22, Jack Kness with 228 rushing yards, 50 receiving yards, and 5 touchdowns on the year. He's really been doing work both in the receiving core, additionally on the ground.
Yeah, no, he's one of, like I said, these are the big players we like to. We love seeing the stats up there and love seeing go. But that's also one of the things is you have those big guys. Yes, use them, but see if you got other tools as well. Like I said, you go into this game, Rawlins County's going to know this is the guy we need to watch. But if you use all your tools, look at it like that, you're going to find other tools and help you win.
As for Rawlins County, they are also 2-0. They're ranked 3rd in the 8-man Division I rankings in Kansas Central. And they have yet to be scored on this season. They played Dighton week 1. Dighton was a very good football team last season. They lost a lot of talent, and they've really been struggling this season. They lost 46-0. And Rawlins County really took care of business versus Dighton. They also played Greeley County in week 2. They won 52-0 over Greeley County. And as a team, it's really a rush-dominant offense. They've ran for 473 yards so far this season, and only 74 yards have been in the air this season as a team. They've only attempted to throw the ball 10 times this season. So expect a run-heavy offense out of the Rawlins County Buffaloes.
And so going into this game, they definitely need to use the pass a little bit more because, like, run, if it's working, power through it, that's great. But if you get into those 3rd down long situations, you got to try to run it, run at the middle, run outside. You're not going to get too far. Clearly, they've seen a lot of success. Clearly, they haven't been scored against, so it's working so far. So I'm excited to see what they bring against Trigo, if they keep this kind of session or if they try to switch it up a little bit more, just so that way they have another weapon to use.
Some players to watch for Rawlins County includes Dominique Paz. He has 210 rushing yards. He wears the number 7 for the Buffaloes, and he has 5 rushing touchdowns so far on the year. So pretty impressive stat lines from him. And additionally, Austin Chumley kind of playing that RB2 position for Rawlins County. He wears number 4. He has 160 rushing yards and 4 rushing touchdowns on the year.
It's just, again, players that are just go so well. I love seeing these players excel so well, use their talents, especially when you get in your junior, senior years. You're ending football, you want to end on a high note, and that's just doing well for these players.
Well, we're going, after really doing some research on this game, we're going to really be able to have a very good matchup, I think, this season. Last season, Rawlins County really took care of business. They won 42-24 last season, but Trigo lost to Rawlins County in 2023 in the 8-man Division I state quarterfinal. So there's a little bit of history between these two teams. Trigo has really improved a lot from last season, though.
I definitely agree with you there. They're definitely stepping up their game a lot, and this is a game they're wanting to fight and win this one, because it's going to be a huge ego booster being 3-0, being one of your biggest rivals that you go against. You've lost the past 2 years, especially in the state quarterfinals. That's just another dagger all in itself. So this is a really big game for them.
We're going to move on to our Fort Hays State section of the show. Fort Hays State had a big rivalry matchup this last weekend against Nebraska Kearney. They took on the Lopers. This is the 99th year that this rivalry has been going on, and it was a pretty dominant win for Fort Hays State. They really took care of business. They won 26-7. Fort Hays State scored every single quarter, and Nebraska Kearney didn't score until the fourth quarter. The player of the game went to no other than kicker David Arriaga, who kicked 4 field goals and 2 extra points in their win against UNK. He had a 42-yard field goal, 38-yard field goal, 34-yard field goal, and 27-yard field goal. And Michael Pauly was also a big standout player, where he had a pick 6 that really shifted the momentum into the Tigers' favor right before halftime.
And that's one of the big things, too, is plays like that could literally change any game. You could be up only 7, could be a really close game, and then a quick thing like that on defense, scored in, you're out, 2 scores, or however much you're up. And those are the big plays, not a lot of people think about just because they don't happen as much. But when they do happen, it's really, really electric.
Fort Hays State is still receiving votes in the Division II coaches poll. They have yet to break into that top 25, but as I mentioned, like I said, they're still kind of receiving votes. So they're still in the discussion, but not quite in that threshold yet. This week, they have an opportunity to break into that poll, though. They're going to play number 18, Pittsburgh State, on Saturday, the 20th, on the road. It's one of Fort Hays State's biggest rivals every season, very anticipated. It was a really close game last year, came down to the final score of the game. And Pittsburgh State, though, they're not a team to shy an eye from. They just came off a really big win against number 3, Grand Valley State, where they won 17-14 in what was a nail-biter win for them. After they had 2 early losses in the season, that likely saved their season. And if they lose against Fort Hays State this week, they might be eliminated from playoff contention.
Yeah, and that's one of the things for Fort Hays State going into this matchup is this is a nail-biting for Pitt State, because they need this win right now, because it's one, at home, so they don't want to lose against one of their biggest rivals at home in their own stadium. 2, like you said, it could be really rough if they lose to Fort Hays State. On Fort Hays State side, on the other hand, this is a team that you want to beat. This is one of the biggest rivals. There's always talk the whole week against both schools, the athletes, everything. We're all talking about it. A lot of people go, if you're Pitt State, if it's a Fort Hays State, they come here to watch. We go there to watch when it's there. It's one of the biggest games for us, to mark on your calendars.
Without a doubt, that game will be at 4 p.m. on Saturday. Catch that one on the MIAA Network. It's bound to be a good one. Upcoming for FHSU women's soccer, they play Thursday in Hays at 3:30 p.m. Men's soccer will also play on Thursday at 7 p.m., so they'll play right after the women's play. On Saturday, they will also play at 7 p.m., and so they'll be also at Hays on that day. And then for volleyball, they will play Friday and Saturday in Edmond, Oklahoma, and they'll play at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. on Friday, and then at 9 a.m. and 12:30 on Saturday. So lots of action for Fort Hays State sports this weekend, and be sure to catch all those games on the MIAA Network.
Yeah, all good stuff for Fort Hays State. Area game of the week is going to be a good one. Just great sports. This fall time is definitely the time of the year to really get into this football, volleyball, so much to watch soccer. It's really, really enjoyable to get into it.
And before we know it, it'll be basketball season. It'll be the blink of an eye. And I saw the other day it was like 44 days or something like that until Fort Hays State plays KU at Allen Fieldhouse. So that one should be a pretty fun game as well for Fort Hays State fans to get to experience all of what Allen Fieldhouse has to offer. That's going to do it for us for the Area Game of the Week preview show. Be sure to tune in to the Area Game of the Week here this Friday at 6:30 is when the broadcast will go live. And then at 7 p.m. is when Rawlins County will take on Trigo at home. You won't want to miss it. It'll be a good one. Join alongside me has been Kyler Rowden-Stum. I'm Eli Blankinship. Thank you all for watching, and until next time.